All right, good morning. This is the matter of SR, case number 24-519-72NA. Present in the virtual courtroom, we have Lee Jennings on behalf of the mother, Michael Toburin on behalf of the father, Stacy Van Dyken on behalf of the child, various agency workers, as well as a CASA supervisor. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And would you spell your name for the record, please?
ASHLEEPASTOR.
Great, thank you. Ms. Van Dyken.
Thank you. Ms. Pastor, you are the assigned foster care worker for Sophia Rodriguez, is that correct?
Correct.
And in that capacity, you authored a report and provided the court and counsel with a number of other reports concerning the parents and the child, correct?
Correct.
I'd like to list those if I may.
Please.
I have the case service plan, date of report 4/14/2025 with the appropriate attachments as Exhibit 1. I have a CASA report, date of report 4/29/25 as Exhibit 2. I have a psychological assessment of Ms. Garcia, date of evaluation was 2/19/25. I have forensic fluid lab testing on Ms. Garcia as Exhibit 4. As Exhibit 5, I have forensic fluid lab testing on Mr. Rodriguez. As Exhibit 6, Your Honor, I have a set of 3 YWC reports for February, March, and April of this year as Exhibit 6. As Exhibit 7, Your Honor, there's a foster care supportive visitation in-home parent education data report March 17th, 2025. And as Exhibit 8, Your Honor, there is a substance abuse assessment that I don't have a copy of, but I have no objection to having that marked and admitted as Exhibit 8 for today's hearing.
All right, any objection?
No objection, thank you.
All right, it's admitted. They're admitted.
Thank you. Ms. Pastor, Sophia is placed in a foster care home, is that correct?
Correct.
And how's she doing there?
She is doing very well. It's very clear that she's very bonded to the foster parent. She seeks her out for comfort, is very happy to go home with her after visits, and just enjoys playing with her, spending time with her. She's also been attending play therapy. The therapist was on vacation, so I didn't get a formal update, but she did just email me right before this hearing, and it sounds like everything is going well. She also states that she's bonded to the caregiver and that the visits with her parents are very important, and it causes her a lot of dysregulation if one of those is canceled or missed, but that doesn't happen very often. But she definitely enjoys seeing her parents. We did have a TDM over this reporting period to kind of talk about expanding visits for the parents. They've been trying to attend Sophia's gymnastics every Tuesday, which she's liked a lot. But it's hard for her to focus on doing gymnastics when they're there because she just wants to talk to them and spend time with them. But overall, she's doing really well.
Up to date on medical and dental?
Yes.
Any other services or needs that are necessary for the foster home to meet Sophia's needs there?
We did submit a referral for a trauma assessment. It hasn't been scheduled yet. I think with all the holidays and stuff going on, spring break, it's just kind of gotten pushed to the side for a second. So I'm going to follow up and see if we can get that scheduled ASAP, but it was approved.
Let's talk about the parents. Are they working a joint treatment plan?
Yes, they are.
Okay. What are the barriers and what progress have they made on those barriers?
I think the number one barrier is definitely housing. It's hard to kind of make significant progress without appropriate housing. And then another barrier that came up over this reporting period was substance use. Unfortunately, there were a few positive screens for Ms. Garcia for cocaine. She had maintained that she did not use, so we were planning on potentially doing a hair follicle assessment just to see what's going on there, because I spoke with forensic fluids and they stated that she would have had to have consumed it in some way. And then I would just say the last one is parenting skills. They're doing very well, I would say. I think obviously having visits at the agency is a little hard. It's a small room. There's not a lot that they can do. Since the weather's been getting nicer, we've been getting outside and I can see them really shine. I watched a visit myself last week, and they were very, very engaged, very playful. It was really nice to see them like that, but supportive visitation, as in the reports that I submitted did have some concerns. And Ms. Garcia has been having some flare-ups with her epilepsy, and I do believe that's why she's not here today. She was not feeling very well. I've encouraged her to get into her primary care physician to see if she needs her meds reviewed, or if there's something else that she can do in regards to that. But otherwise, the parents are very engaged. They've completed all the services that have been asked of them so far. They don't cancel visits often unless Ms. Garcia is really not feeling it today from her epilepsy. And I think in the future, actually, I just got the referral. There's a parenting class coming up, the nurturing parenting class at Arbor Circle, that I will be referring them to as well.
Would you add physical health as kind of a modicum of a barrier for Ms. Garcia, that she needs to address that?
I would, yes.
And then domestic violence, or going through counseling at the Y, how's that going?
It's going well. Ms. Garcia has been a little inconsistent with her attendance. I have been trying to remind her to go. Mr. Rodriguez has been attending as he should. I would say, though, even with some of her inconsistent participation, the reports say that she is engaged when she is there and doing well. And from my observations of how the parents interact with each other, they seem to be communicating very well. I haven't seen any like anger or anything that would be concerning or indicative of current domestic violence. So I think on that front, we're doing well.
And you went over her psychological evaluation and instituted those recommendations as well into her parenting time agreement?
Yeah, the only real recommendation from the psychological was that she obtain employment. She did briefly have a part-time job that she left, and she was about to have another interview. So hopefully she does get that job and is able to maintain that employment.
And you're continuing to make referrals for housing for the parties?
As best as I can, I have pointed them in the direction of HealthNet, who is able to cover application fees for apartments. I've showed them how to navigate apartments.com and showed them other websites that they can use to try and find housing that's within their price range. They are on the Section 8 waiting list. They've been given resources for community rebuilders. I think at this point, it's just them following up on their end, and obviously housing is expensive, so they would have to save up for security deposit, first month's rent, stuff like that before they'd even be able to pursue an apartment or something like that.
Have we gone over budgeting with them?
But a budget is completed every quarter, and I was hoping that Ms. Garcia was able to get this job so we could redo the budget with updated income.
Any other information that the court needs to be made aware of that's not contained in any of the reports?
I don't believe so.
What are your recommendations today?
I recommend that Sophia remain a temporary court ward at this time, that she remain placed in her current licensed foster home or with appropriate relatives, that Mr. Rodriguez and Ms. Garcia participate and benefit from their treatment plans, that their parenting times remain supervised, this case be reviewed in 90 days, the goal remain reunification, and I would ask that Ms. Garcia be appointed a GAL if possible.
Okay, and what's your basis for requesting that at this time?
Previously, the previous worker was trying to get her a CLS worker, but based on the reports in the psychological evaluation, there really isn't grounds to pursue that. But I do believe that she does need some extra assistance in navigating this. So I think that a GAL would be beneficial for her.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Jennings.
Ma'am, is it where currently are Miss Garcia and Mr. Rodriguez residing?
They are currently residing in a motel.
And they're able to sustain themselves in that motel?
Yes.
Have you been to that motel?
I have not been inside. They have not wanted me to come inside. I'm aware that her father also lives there with them. But I have seen like the motel area itself.
Okay. So for now, they have appropriate housing for themselves. It just may not be appropriate housing for their daughter to return to.
Correct.
Okay. Is there anything at this point you're asking Ms. Garcia to do that she hasn't yet completed?
No, she has been participating and completing all the assessments that have been asked of her, and she's willing to participate in further services. I just think that there is still room for improvement, and obviously we don't have a place for Sophia to return back to. And we would like to expand to in-home visits, but we feel that the motel might be a little confusing for her to have visits in. It's not a home, it's not a place she recognizes, and it wouldn't be a place she'd be returning to. So that's something that we discussed in the TDM, but we are trying to do more community visits and stuff like that for them. So when we get to that point, it's a easy transition.
Would you be willing to add any additional either third-party supervised visits or community visits to their already scheduled agency visits?
If have the resources, yes, or if there is an appropriate outside supervisor. Aside from their father, I'm not aware of any other like relatives or anything that would be willing to help. And then when they do go see Sophia at gymnastics, the foster parent is the one who's supervising that. So that's about 3 visits a week if they go consistently. But we would like them to get more time, absolutely.
Okay. And currently, what's their schedule for parenting time? How often and frequently are they seeing her?
The scheduled visits at the agency are Mondays and Thursdays. They're about an hour long. More time is allotted if we can offer that. And then Tuesdays is when Sophia has gymnastics.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, I was just a reminder to use initials, please.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
My apologies.
Likewise. I have no other questions.
All right, Mr. Taburin.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just very briefly, Ms. Pastor, what have you told Mr. Rodriguez regarding marijuana use?
Marijuana use is legal. So long as they're not doing it in the home, it's not a major barrier to parents and children being reunified. Obviously, it's something that we would like to see go down. And I know that substance use initially was an issue for him. So if he could not use, that is best case scenario, but it's not something that's going to prevent SR from returning home.
Okay. And then regarding the budget you have done so far, do you have a feel for whether Mr. Rodriguez could support his family based on his current job?
I do.
And you think he could?
I feel that he could, yes.
So as you said, the issue then is saving up some money or finding help with a deposit and first month's rent.
Correct.
And the CASA report mentioned that one of the programs may have been community rebuilders. Could potentially provide help there. Is that something we're looking into?
That was something that was offered to them, yes. The issue was them following up. I can like refer them to services, offer them community resources and stuff, but they do need to follow up and make those calls to make things happen as well.
So that one specifically, they just did not follow through on?
Correct.
Do you know if it would be still a possibility if they did that now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Van Dyken, any further witnesses or evidence?
No other witnesses or evidence, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Jennings, any witnesses or evidence?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Taburin?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, statements, Ms. Van Dyken.
Thank you, Your Honor. I agree with the recommendations. I did visit with my youth, with the foster mother who was about to take her out to tulip time, so I can't wait to see those pictures. I believe the parents are making progress on their treatment goals. I'm a little hesitant with Ms. Garcia and the cocaine, positive for cocaine, and with her epilepsy and her health. That does give me pause for concern. But they appear to be working diligently on their parent agency treatment plan, and I'd ask the court to follow the recommendations.
Thank you. Ms. Jennings.
Your Honor, I don't have any objection to the recommendations. With regard to, I guess, the request for a GAL, I will say that in my conversations with my client, I haven't noticed an inability to understand what was going on in the case. She's been doing pretty well in the case and cooperative, but if the agency, I mean, sees something that I'm not, or I did see that they said that they didn't have a community CLS worker available, and that might be why they were asking for a GAL. I'm not sure that is the same type of resource, but if the court feels one should be explored, I think we could do that. That's my only other comment, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Tiburon.
Your Honor, I think the recommendation is appropriate. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. The court finds that the lawyer guardian ad litem has complied with the requirements of the statute, that returning this child to a parent today would cause a substantial risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, or mental well-being, that reasonable efforts have been made to preserve and reunify the family, make it possible for this child to safely return home, that those reasonable efforts for reunification should be continued, that in accordance with the statute, progress towards alleviating or mitigating the conditions that cause the children to be placed or remain in temporary foster care has not been made by either parent, that the child's continued placement is necessary and appropriate as meeting her needs, that the needs of the child can be met in a foster family home. The court orders that the child continue in the protection and the protective and temporary custody of the court, continue placement with the Department for Care and Supervision, that the adjudicated respondents comply with and benefit from the case service plan, also that they sign all necessary releases, the parenting time of both parents is at the discretion of the department to allow unsupervised or supervised parenting time by its designee. Continue the attorneys in this matter. I will appoint a GAL. I'd rather err on the side of caution in that. And Ms. Gibson, do we have a date for our next review hearing?
Yes, Your Honor, we could do July 30 at 10:30.
Any conflicts with that date or time?
Not for me, no.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, we will see you then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, good morning. This is the matter of TS, case number 23-51124NA. Present in the virtual courtroom, we have Cynthia Rathburn on behalf of the mother. We have the child's attorney, Mary Golden, the legal custodian's attorney, Stacy Van Dyken, and Ms. Pelevin from from Samaritas. Ms. Golden.
Your Honor, I'd like to call Ms. Plavin.
Okay. Would you state your name and spell it for the record?
Jennifer Plavin, JenniferPlavin.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you.
May I
Ms.
proceed, Your
Golden.
Honor?
Yes,
Thank
you may.
Ms. Plavin, you are the supervisor for the previous foster care worker, correct?
Yes, I am.
And it's my understanding Ms. Rubis is no longer handling this case. Is that true?
That's correct.
So who is going to be the new foster worker on this case?
The new worker will be Tyriana.
Okay, and will you send all counsel the change,
Yes, I will.
the DHS form? Okay.
Yep.
And so you reviewed the exhibits and you've spoken to Ms. Rubis, so you can testify on her behalf today, correct?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so we have exhibits. As far as the exhibits, we have the case service plan with the honorable judge report. Date of that is 4/16/2025. Is that correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask that be marked as Exhibit 1 and move for its admission.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, it's admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Plavin, we also have a case service plan addendum from 1/23/2025 through 4/16/2025. Is that correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask to be marked as Exhibit 2 and move for its admission.
Any objection?
No, no.
All right, it's admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms.
And
Plavin-
I'm sorry, Ms. Golden, I'm going to interrupt for a moment. I just noticed, I believe our last permanency planning hearing was last year. I'll just ask Ms. Gibson to confirm the date of our last permanency planning hearing.
Yes, I show it as June 3 of 24.
All right. Then I need to ask if the parties would waive notice of a permanency planning hearing so that we could take care of that today.
So waived, Your Honor.
I'll wait, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Plavin, so TS remains in the same placement he's been in for a long time, for over a year,
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
And he's doing really well there, correct?
He is. He's very bonded to the caregiver.
Okay, and the caregiver has family members living with her also that are a great support to him, correct?
Yes, he do. Yes, she does.
Okay, and how is he doing in school?
Overall, he's doing well. He's been able to bring up a few of his grades, but he really enjoys his school, and they've been really accommodating for him.
Okay, and what about his health? Any changes in his physical health?
Nope, he remains in good health. He's current on his medical and dental. Recently, they were able to wean him off of, it looks like 2 medications, but otherwise he remains in good health.
What about immunizations? Is he up to date on immunizations?
Yes, he is.
Okay, and as far as his mental health, is he still in therapy?
Yes, he is.
And how often does he see his therapist?
They meet weekly.
Okay, and it sounds like he's doing really well in therapy and engaged, is that correct?
He is, yes. He has a really good bond with his therapist. She is out on maternity leave, but her supervisor has been able to step in. He continues to do really well. Like you said, he, overall, he's been doing really well in therapy.
And no behavioral issues either in school or at the home?
No, he's been doing well with no noted issues.
Okay, and he's had contact with his bio mother, is that correct?
That's correct.
And I think those are still just telephone calls, is that correct?
Yep, it's either telephone or virtual meetings as she lives out of state.
And are there any issues with those visits?
No, those visits have gone well. They've formed a good relationship, and those are, I think they're appropriate.
Okay. And what about with his custodial parent? Has he had any contact with her?
No, he is not. I think the agency last had contact with her over a year ago. We've reached out, phone, email, text, have not received a response from her.
Okay, so since a year ago, you continue to reach out to her, correct?
Yes, we do.
Okay. And we don't have treatment plans for either the bio or custodial because neither one is a respondent, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. The only thing I was concerned about with TS when I saw him is he blinks a lot. Do you know if that's a new physical problem or is that related to his medication?
I'm not aware, but I can follow up on that.
Okay, and it looks like they're trying to wean him off. He's on quite a few medications and they're listed in the report, correct?
Yes, they are.
And you already indicated the 2 medications he was weaned off. So they're going to try and wean him off other medications as well. Is that correct?
Yes, they are. Yep, they're working closely with his doctor to make sure it's very slow and controlled.
Okay, and so as far as the permanency plan for him, it's guardianship, is that correct?
It is, yes.
And I know there were some concerns with with his current foster parent on whether or not she really wanted adoption, but that's been rectified, is that correct?
Yes, I think after several conversations with yourself, therapists, the agency, she is now on board with guardianship. So we will begin that process with her so we can provide TS with permanence.
Okay, and it was my understanding when Miss Rubis went out to see the foster parent that she had brought the guardianship paperwork out there with her. Do you know if that's been completed?
Not to my knowledge, no. We would have to start with doing fingerprints. And then once we get those back, then we would send off the guardianship packet.
Okay, can you send off the packet though before the fingerprints?
Yeah, yes, we'll start the paperwork so she can sign, so we can just hold that. And then once we get the fingerprints back, then we'll send it all together.
Do you know why the paperwork wasn't brought to her? I think it was a couple weeks ago. She was supposed to receive the paperwork then.
I don't know.
Okay. All right, so would return of TS to either the bio parent or the custodial parent causes substantial risk of harm to his physical and mental health well-being?
Yes, it would.
Okay, and why is that?
He now has a relationship with his mother. However, she was not able to comply with ICPC in order to be fully assessed. With custodial guardian, she has not visited TS since he entered care. She's not been in communication with the agency, so those would not be appropriate options.
And you don't believe it's in the best interest to terminate either parent's parental rights, correct?
No, I don't.
And that's because the goal is guardianship.
That's correct.
Okay. And has the foster parent followed the reasonable prudent parenting standard and allowed TS to participate in age inappropriate activities?
Yes, they're very engaged with the community, and he's involved in several events.
What are your recommendations for today?
Recommending that TS remain temporary court ward, that TS remains with his current foster parent. Parenting time is supervised, unsupervised at the agency's discretion. The goal remains guardianship, and this matter is reviewed in 90 days.
And you'll make sure if the foster parent doesn't have the paperwork that she gets it as soon as possible so we can get this guardianship completed, correct?
Yes, we will. We'll get that started this month.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
All right, thank you. Ms. Rathburn,
I have no questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Van Dyken,
Nor do I, Your Honor.
all right, thank you. Ms. Golden, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Rathburn, any witnesses or evidence?
No, thank you.
Ms. Van Dyken, same question.
No evidence or witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Statements.
Your Honor, I did have a chance to see TS at school, met some of the people that are working with him. They say he's doing extremely well there. He's doing very well in the home. He's very bonded, and I support the recommendations. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Rathburn.
Well, Your Honor, I've had conversations with my client and she supports his placement, and I know she's very thankful that the placement has been working with her and the phone calls that she's been able to maintain a relationship. And she supports the recommendations as well.
Great, thank you. Ms. Van Dyken.
Its recommendations are appropriate and we support the same, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. The court finds that the lawyer guardian ad litem has complied with the requirements of the statute, that returning this child to a parent today would cause a substantial risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, or mental well-being. And I would also include the legal guardian as well, or legal custodian, I should say. That the agency should not return the child to the parent or legal custodian. They should also not initiate proceedings to terminate parental rights because guardianship is the goal. Permanency plan. That reasonable efforts have been made to preserve and reunify the family, make it possible for this child to safely return home. Those reasonable efforts should be continued. That the child's continued placement is necessary and appropriate, is meeting his needs. I'm glad to hear he's doing so well. That his needs can be met in a foster family home. That reasonable efforts have been made to finalize the court-approved permanency plan of legal guardianship. That the permanency planning goal continues to be appropriate. That the appointment of a juvenile guardian is in the best interest of the child. That the court, oh, no, I can't make that finding yet. We'll have to wait for the next hearing. So strike that. That the department, foster home, or institutional placement has followed the reasonable and prudent parenting standard, and that the child has had regular opportunities to engage in age or developmentally appropriate activities. The court orders that this child continue placement with the department for care and supervision. That parenting time of legal custodian, Amber Runyon, be supervised until further order of the court. Continue the attorneys in this matter. And Ms. Gibson, do we have a date for our next hearing?
Yes, Your Honor, July 30 at 9:30.
Any
That's fine
conflicts
by
with that?
me. No,
That works for me.
I already have a 9 and a 9:30. Could we do 10?
Yes, we can. So
Thank you.
10 to
Yeah,
10:30.
it should only be a half hour, correct? Because if it's only half
Yes.
hour, that'll be fine for me as well.
Okay, so July 30 at 10.
Correct.
Okay. Hey, good afternoon. This is the matter of GUJ, case number 24-51559NA. Present in the virtual courtroom, we have Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Laura Clifton. We have the mother, Ms. Toshimi, her attorney, Mr. Kasorik, Stacey Van Dyken, who's here for attorney Charlie Clapp as mother's GAL. The father, Antonio Salazar, his attorney, Cynthia Rathburn, who is here for Kristen Newhouse, the child's attorney, Mary Golden, various agency workers, and we also have an assistant prosecuting attorney observing. I think I got everybody. All right, and we are here for an adjudication in this matter. Ms. Clifton.
Yes, sure. We are, Your Honor. We had a prelim that was authorized on March 11, 2025. Since that time, Mr. Salazar has been working diligently with the agency to rectify any concerns that were initially presented to CPS. And at this time, we are not moving forward on that petition. We would like to withdraw it.
Great. Ms. Golden.
I agree with that, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Rathburn.
Yes, Your Honor, it's my understanding that Ms. Newhouse has been talking this through with Mr. Salazar, and they would definitely agree to having the petition withdrawn.
All right. Mr. Kazorik.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no objection to the withdrawal of the petition as to the father.
All right, thank you. The court will accept the withdrawal of the petition. Ms. Clifton, do you wish to be excused?
Yes, please.
All right, you are excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we also, in this case, have a review hearing that was noticed out for May 13th, but it's my understanding that the parties wish to proceed with that review hearing today to eliminate the need to come back in less than a week. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
That is correct, Your Honor. And for the record, I've discussed that matter with Ms. Toshimi, and she has no objection to that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Golden.
Your Honor, I agree with that. And do you want me to?
You prepared to go on?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to call Michelle Magnuson.
Okay. Ms. Magnuson, would you raise your right hand, please? Would you state your name for the record and spell it?
Excuse me. It is Michelle Magnuson, MICHELLEMAGNUSON.
And do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. Ms. Golden.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Magnuson, you are the foster care worker for this case, is that correct?
Correct.
And it looks like you have authored some report for today, a case service plan with the parent agency treatment plan of 4/25/2025. Is that correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, I'd have that marked as Exhibit 1 and move for its admission.
Any objection?
No
No,
objection.
Your Honor.
All right, it's admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Magnuson, GJ is currently residing in the same foster home that he's been in for several months, correct?
Correct.
And how's he doing there?
He is doing very well. He's growing as a 3-year-old. He's getting along with the caregiver's daughter. He's been going to early on. He recently had tubes put in his ears. So it's been improving his speech. He's a very smart little boy. He's starting to be potty trained. Just overall happy, healthy. He is going to be having a dental procedure coming up shortly due to some teeth that are rotten and cavities that need to be taken care of.
When is that going to occur? Do we know?
They are on the waiting list at the moment. When he was under the age of 3, they had to do it at Helen DeVos Children's Hospital through sedation, and that had almost a year waiting for him to get that done. But now he is 3. They can do it in a different way and administer medication in the office.
Okay, so he's developmentally on track, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and is he up to date on immunizations?
That I do not know.
Okay, but you'll check on that and report to everyone, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And he's had visits with, Mr. Salazar, correct?
Correct.
And how often does he see him?
Twice a week for 1 hour each time.
Okay, and how do those visits go?
They go wonderfully, well engagement, a lot of activities together for what you can do with the 3-year-old. Mr. Salazar is always bringing food, making sure that he's eating, and yeah, you can tell that there is a bond being created.
So what are you planning on visits, moving forward with Mr. Salazar?
Moving forward is going to go from being supervised to unsupervised, or possibly supervising out in the community, say how things go. If they go well, then we're gonna start doing the unsupervised and then start doing overnights and weekends.
Okay, and so right now you said it's 1 hour twice a week, so
Correct.
what will it look at, say, in the next week?
Are you saying of increasing the hours?
Yes, yes. Are you planning on increasing the hours starting actually this week?
We have not planned on increasing the hours, due to Miss Toshimi having her visit right after Mr. Salazar. And also, it is due to GJ's, schedule that he has at the daycare, just so that he is able to have their snack, have a nap, and then be ready to go. So that has not been talked about, increasing hours.
So you'll be working with Mr. Salazar on that in the next couple of weeks, correct? And the
Correct.
foster mom, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And as far as, I know there were a lot of questions about Mr. Salazar, like where he was living and all of that. Have you been out to his home? And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I have done a home visit at where he is living. He's renting right now a full home. It is appropriate for GJ. He has his own bed there, which is already set up by Mr. Salazar. There's no one else living in the house besides Mr. Salazar's dog Tilly.
Okay, and did you say he's leasing?
He is renting right now.
Okay. And what about employment? I know employment was another issue. Where is he working?
He is employed with 2 different positions. I did get their names and numbers to call to verify. One of the name of the company I forgot. I cannot recall the name of the company, but
In your report, it says he's working for John Hendricks, and it looks
Correct.
like Monday through Friday from 8 to 12. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Making $18 an hour.
Correct.
And then it looks like you said he's working for Charlie Morales 1 or 2 days a week.
Yes, at $250 per day.
Okay, and it sounds like there's also he has a home that he's renting in Texas.
That is correct.
So he's getting about $750 per month.
Correct.
So do you believe he has enough income to provide for him and GJ?
Yes.
Okay. Are there, I know you said something about him doing a psychological. Have you had any concerns with his emotional or mental health?
No.
Okay, and what about communication? How's that been?
He's had a couple different numbers. But when he does get the new number, he does reach out and saying, "This is my new number." Just some of the communication is more or less of requesting documentation. However, Mr. Salazar has fulfilled the request from the agency on those documents.
Okay, and it looks like he reported that he smokes marijuana occasionally, and you did a drug screen on him, correct?
Correct.
And did you get the results of that?
I did, and it did come back positive for marijuana, which he told me that he had done on 4/20.
And did you talk to him about like a safety plan when GJ is finally returned to him?
We have not discussed the safety plan as of yet, just because the results came in just the other day, and I saw Mr. Salazar for a quick 2 minutes during his visit with GJ.
Okay, but you'll talk about that with him,
Of
correct?
course.
And then as far as domestic relationships, it sounds like he's not in a relationship right now, and there's been no concerns about domestic violence in the past. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Anything else about Mr. Salazar?
Nothing negative to report. He's been very engaging. He has been improving on his communication. He's just the conversations have been going very well.
And it's not, I mean, all the questions we were concerned about, housing, employment, all of that, and he's given you all of that information now, and you've been correct?
Correct.
Okay. So what about the mother in this case, Miss Toshimi? How's your communication been with her?
The communication I've had with Miss Toshimi is mainly just confirming for visits. She's has not attended all visits. I'm trying to remember exactly on how many. There's a few where GJ was out on spring break with a caregiver, but she has probably attended a little more than half of her visits. The other communication, she does not really want to use any resources that we have that we've offered to her.
Okay, we'll go over that in a minute. And I just want to tell you, so in your report, you said she had 17 parenting time visits and she attended 11 of them, correct?
Correct.
And it sounds like 2 visits she just missed and 4 of them were missed because GJ was out of town on vacation with the foster parents. Is that correct?
There was 2 that was for the vacation and then 2 that he was ill.
Oh, okay. And as far as referrals, I know you had referred her to a psychological, I think on 3 separate occasions, and she missed all of those. Is that correct?
Correct.
And I think you also referred her to a parenting after trauma class, which she has refused to attend. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and I know she is now not homeless. She's residing, I think, with is it her father and stepmother or?
I believe so.
Okay, have you been out to the home?
I have not been out there.
And why is that?
She has not allowed me to go out there, stating that is not where she's planning on living. It's only temporary, so it's unnecessary to have a home visit.
Okay, and I know early on in this case, she talked about she was planning on enrolling at GRCC. Do you know if she's going to school?
She told me she had enrolled into GRCC, was supposed to start yesterday. I'm like, sorry, yesterday on Monday. She did not attend, really did not give a reason why.
Okay, and as far as employment, do you know if she's working?
She's not currently working right now.
Okay. And so when she has visits, how often does she see GJ? GJ, yeah. How often does she see him?
She sees him twice weekly for 1 hour at a time.
Okay, and I think you said those immediately follow the father's visits, correct?
Correct.
And has there been any concerns during the visits?
There has been some concerns. There's been a little, some lack of engagement. There has been a couple of times that of inappropriateness may have occurred, which she was talked to about. She was changing his pants because he had wet himself, and she was videotaping him not getting his genitals, but the camera was still on and it went down to his genitals, and I had spoken to her about that. And she's like, but that is my son. Well, what's the big deal? And I said, well, it's inappropriate and that is not allowed. There was another incident that had happened just the other day. She took him to the restroom. He came out of the restroom stall. Our case aide was there, and he was naked from the waist down. And she's like, well, we're not done yet. But if others come in, again, to have that appropriateness, for GJ's sake and for hers and for whoever may have walked in on them.
Do you think then, I mean, we should, as far as the visits, if she takes him into another room, that someone should accompany her?
We do.
Okay. As far as when she's in the visits, is she engaged with GJ?
At times, a lot of times she is making videos of him. There's other times where she's sitting down on the couch, on her phone while he's playing with toys by himself. So there's not been a lot of engagement.
Okay. So what are is there anything else about Ms. Toshimi before we, you give your recommendations?
I do know, one reason why she's not currently working at this time is that she has some fines that she has to pay in regards to her license. I do not know if it is suspended or not. So that was the reason why she, hadn't been working.
Have you talked to her about other transportation like the bus?
We do give her the bus. We give bus passes. We've also come and picked her up. Well, that's mainly for visits. We don't do that for the transfer, for work. And it just doesn't seem to be that big of a deal to her, I guess.
A priority?
Correct.
Okay, so overall, how has she done on her treatment plan?
On any resources that we have offered her, she has refused them. She's just mainly doing things on her own, trying to follow up, has been hard. Just lack of communication.
What are your recommendations today?
Well, you guys kind of threw me off today. I didn't know we were doing this. So I apologize. Bear with me a moment. I was waiting for next week.
No rush. It's okay. Understand. Miss Golden, maybe you could help her out.
Yeah, so I'm looking, yeah, thank you, Your Honor. I'm looking at it and it says you're recommending GJ remain a temporary court ward and the goal remain reunification, and that's with Mr. Salazar, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And that he remain in his current placement pending return to Mr. Salazar, correct?
Correct.
And that Ms. Toshimi continue to work on barriers and on her treatment plan, correct?
Correct.
And that Mr. Salazar continue to participate with the agency?
That is correct.
Okay. And supervised or unsupervised visits, and is that for Ms. Toshimi or is that just for Mr. Salazar?
That is by the agency's discretion.
For both?
It would be for both, but as for Ms. Toshimi, it wouldn't be supervised, not unsupervised.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Caseworkers.
Got to unmute first. Thank you, Your Honor. Real quickly, I know, Ms. Magnuson, you weren't prepared to do a review today, but you will encourage Ms. Toshimi to engage in a case service plan, will you not?
Of course.
And you've been doing this on a regular basis?
Yes.
In reading of your updated service plan, you have lots and lots of details about parenting time between Ms. Toshimi and GJ, correct?
Correct.
And by reading of all of those, there seems to be a pretty strong bond between Ms. Toshimi and GJ, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
And for the most part, her interaction with GJ is appropriate, is it not?
For the most part, yes.
And when she is redirected and given advice about doing something inappropriately, for the most part, she actually listens to the redirection, does she not?
That is correct.
Any reason why her parenting time with GJ is detailed as finely as it is in your updated service plan? And actually, it sounds like his father, Mr. Salazar, has a lot more leeway, and there's not really a whole bunch in there about their bond.
I am not the case aide that watches the visits, so it is what is reported by the case aides. Those are the notes in regards to that. A possibility is that we've been working with Mr. Toshimi longer than Mr. Salazar. I do not have an answer on that.
All right. Needless to say, Ms. Toshimi has some mental health challenges, does she not?
I believe so.
Have you met with her in person?
Yes,
How many times?
I see her at least once a month, if not more. Depending if I have to pick her up for her visiting time, we'll always chat in the car.
All right. And are your conversations appropriate for the most part?
Yes,
Wonderful. You'll keep working with her, will you not?
yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Rathburn.
Well, thank you. Well, Ms. Magnuson, I know we're kind of catching you off guard with having this whole adjudication just kind of fall away. And so you're understanding the premise, though, is that Mr. Salazar is not a respondent, so he doesn't have to work a treatment plan, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and maybe I was just thinking about it as you were struggling through some questions, which we all get. Maybe it'd be best to set up an FTM next week with Mr. Salazar and the team. And that way you all can come up with a plan to start, doing this transition forward.
Yes,
It'd probably make more sense to have input from everybody at that time, so. Okay, great. So, and I'm just substituting for Ms. Newhouse, but I think she would definitely want to be as helpful as she could be to help guide this forward and to answer any questions for Mr. Salazar. I think with him working, I don't know if he has a plan for daycare, and that might be something to help him get his feet on the ground ahead of time so that he's got good plans in place before this little guy comes back.
yes.
All right, very good. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Golden, any follow-up?
Just real quick, Ms. Magnuson, do you think it'd be helpful if Mr. Salazar could provide some pictures of his place and the dog to the foster mom so that they can start talking to GJ about like where he's gonna go and
Yes, I've already spoken to Mr. Salazar yesterday about that.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have no further questions.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kaczorek, any follow-up?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Rathburn, any follow-up?
No, thank you.
All right. Ms. Golden, any additional witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Kaczorek, any witnesses or evidence?
No witnesses, no evidence.
Ms. Rathburn, same question.
No witness or evidence. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Golden, statement.
Your Honor, I do agree with the recommendations. I would urge the agency, though, to keep mother's visit supervised, given some of the, I don't know if I say bizarre, but just some behaviors that are concerning. And I would urge the agency, yes, to have an FTM so we can sit down and talk about a transition plan for GJ to return to his father's care. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kaczorek.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would simply urge the agency to reach out to Ms. Toshimi on a more regular basis. And I think because of the challenges, mental health challenges that she has, I think that a little bit more efforts required under the case law and under the Americans with Disabilities Act. So I would really urge him to work with Ms. Toshimi a little bit more often. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Ms. Van Dyken.
I believe the statements of Mr. Kaczorek and support the same, Your Honor.
Great, thank you. Ms. Rathburn.
I would support the recommendations, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The court finds that the lawyer guardian ad litem has complied with the requirements of the statute, provided that the LGAL provides verification that she's done that within a reasonable amount of time. Again, we kind of Did this review on the fly, so there's a couple pieces that need to be finalized here, and one of them is the visit with the child. That returning this child to a parent today would cause a substantial risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, and mental well-being. That's based on the need for a transition plan, and we're just not quite there yet, but we're close. That reasonable efforts have been made to preserve and reunify the family, make it possible for this child to safely return home, that those reasonable efforts for reunification continue, that in accordance with the statute, progress towards alleviating or mitigating the conditions that caused this child to be placed or remain in temporary foster care has not been made by Ms. Toshimi, that the child's continued placement is necessary and appropriate and is meeting the child's needs, that his needs can be met in a foster family home. The court orders that this child continue in the protective and temporary custody of the court, continue placement with the Department for Care and Supervision, that Ms. Toshimi comply with and benefit from the case service plan and sign any necessary releases, that Ms. Toshimi's parenting time is supervised until further order of the court. I will continue the attorneys in this matter. And Ms. Gibson, do we have a date for another review hearing?
Yes, one moment, Your Honor.
Your Honor, if I may, for clarification on the order, you said that he would continue as a ward in the care and custody at DHHS. Do we need to indicate in the order or Mr. Salazar?
I am not ready to do a dual order yet. I think the agency can place a child with a parent with 7 days notice, and if there's no objection or no request for hearing, it could happen. There's too many questions yet.
No, that's all right. I just wanted clarification on that.
Yep, no.
Okay, I have July 31st at 10 a.m.
Any conflicts with that date
That
or
works for
time?
me.
Okay, and we don't have, well, Mr. Caseworkers.
I'm looking, there's,
Okay,
what time?
10 a.m.
Shouldn't take us over an hour, should it?
No.
no.
Okay, then, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Do we need to schedule an hour, Your Honor, or is 30 minutes? Okay.
I'm good with 30 minutes, Your Honor, unless Mr.
Okay.
Caseworkers isn't.
I'm fine.
Okay, then that's what we'll plan on. If we need more, we need to know about it so that we can change it on the schedule.
Okay.
Okay,